skipped ahead a little bit on you guys. I got the other side head on, so sorry about that. Actually I wanted to make sure that the little angle attachment I had worked and make sure I didn't run into any snafus, because I do enough time wasting on these videos as it is. You guys don't have to see every little botch up. So everything's clean, everything's wiped, lifters are in, trays are in. I put my new head dowels in. The book says that they're only supposed to stick up 6 mil, which is ridiculous. They're up way higher than that. But there's plenty of space in the head for these dowels to sit. I made sure I double checked. Even without the gasket, they don't bottom out in the head, so it should be fine. I'm using GM MLS gaskets for the 6.0. And now I'm really hoping I took this twist tie off the other one. That would not be good. Made in Germany. Rattling around in my motor. So these are, I believe, 3-layer, 5-layer, 3-layer, 3-layer. I could have went with, I think there's another one out there, 7-layer. I just didn't see the necessity in that. So they are marked front. You just pop them on over the dowels. Make sure it actually fits and nothing weird's happening. Then you can go grab your head. And I apologize, I did not wipe this down one last time, so I'm going to do that real quick while you're watching. The angle attachment that I have, I don't know why it didn't work the last time I used it. It worked really well this time, so I think I'll be okay. The first pass on the M11s is to 22 foot-pounds, which is easy because you just set your wrench. And then the second pass is 90 degrees, which is also pretty easy. I mean, I still used it, but if you didn't, you could probably get away with it. And then on, I think, bolts 1 through 8, the third pass is 90 degrees, and then the 2 short bolts is 50 degrees. So it's probably a good idea for you to use one and not just guesstimate, but I think it's doable. So we're going to set the head down just like so. It's in place. The book also says to run a bead of thread locker only on the M8 bolts. So that's what I did. These are the bolts I'm using. They're just GM replacements. They have a dab of something on there, like factory sealant, and I'm guessing that's sufficient. So if not, I'm sure someone will yell at me. Maybe if I have a problem, I'll just take the heads back off and put ARP studs in it. That won't be overkill or anything, will it? These are Felpro bolts, by the way. I didn't see much reason to go GMs because these were actually Autozone stocked these, I think. So I actually got a discount because I was working there at the time, part time, and I think they're way cheaper than the GM bolts, and they're pretty much the same thing, I would think. I don't know. GM versus Felpro can't be that bad. So I'm just using some blue Loctite on these bolts, the M8s. Again, I'm not really sure why they say to use it on this and not on the other ones. Maybe the GM bolts, maybe the GM 8mm don't come with that orange stuff. The Felpros do. And it mentions to install bolts. So I don't think they meant torque bolts. They just mean run them down, I think. Run them down a little ways till they touch, not actually torquing them down. But so I'm going to do that real quick. You guys don't need to see that. And then maybe I'll videotape the actual torque process a little bit. Alright, this is just, everybody knows what this looks like. Just torquing down to 22 foot-pounds. I ran them all in until they bottomed out, no more. So no, like I said, no torque was applied. They just kind of seated. You might be tempted to run, because it takes a little bit to run all these bolts down. They're kind of long, and you might be tempted to run them down with some type of air tool. I wouldn't, just for the simple fact that why? It's kind of a precise operation you're doing here. So we'll put the torque wrench aside, and this is the angle tool. I'm sure anybody that's really working on something like this knows what this is anyway. Basically, it goes between your socket and your wrench. I'm using a real long half-inch breaker bar. I guess a 2 foot, maybe something like that. Just because it just makes it easy. The more leverage, the easier it is to do this. The last one I did, I rotated the motor so the head was on top, but this actually worked well enough. I think I'm just going to leave it like it is. It's easier to see. I'm just going to do it. I'll even maybe speed this up. I'll try to make it less painful for everyone. But you basically just get the way I have it set up is short side down. I think that might be the way it's supposed to go anyway. I get it on the bolt somehow here. Get it on the bolt, and I make sure that since I'm turning to the right, I kind of want this thing so that it can't turn to the right. And then you grab the dial, set the dial to 0. And this first pass, second pass, I guess technically, we're going to 90 degrees. So you just grab it, crank it, 90 degrees. First 90 degrees is super easy. It's hardly like turning anything at all, especially with this breaker bar. It just makes it really, really easy. So we'll do it again. 90. I think I might actually roll the motor when it comes time to do the next pass. This isn't working out as easy as I thought it would. I like to preload the wrench too, because you'll see that it'll move a couple degrees there as you're doing that. Pull it around to 90. That was 3. Four. Kind of tedious, but gotta do it right. 5. 6. Uh-oh. Almost hit the camera there. It's kind of the nice thing about the gauges. If I was doing this by hand, that would have been a little more difficult to flip the wrench over and get a better grab on it. But since I'm using the dial, I just doesn't matter where you're pulling from, just keep going so you hit your target. And if you're really good with math, you don't even need to set this thing every time. But I'm exhausted, so adding 90 to every number that it lands on is kind of not going to happen. 9 and 10. So up until this point, you're doing them all the same amount. It's been 90 degrees, 22 foot-pounds, 90 degrees. Now this time, this is the third and final pass. I'm actually going to roll the motor. It's just easier. Third and final pass. Okay. We're doing 90 degrees on bolts 1 through 8 again. So that's much better. This one's a little tougher. You might have to put your foot on the engine stand and grab a hold of something to make your pull. Sorry, I just got right in your way. Probably a better camera angle, but honestly, who really wants to even see this? If you haven't fast forwarded by now, guess you're in for the long haul. Boy, that was awkward. Can't even keep track. I'm so tired I can't even keep track of which bolts did this sequence how many times now, and I still have to reference the book. Should have wrote on it with Sharpie. That would have been smart. Write the bolt number sequence on the head. Why didn't I think of that earlier? Tell me that wouldn't work out good. All right, I might hit the camera again. Nope. Things I do to make stupid videos that hardly anybody looks at. 90. That was 8. Okay, so number 9 here. We're going to do 50 degrees. Oops. 50 degrees is not much, but does the trick, I guess. And then this last one, we'll do to 50 degrees. Okay. Now the only thing I have left to do is torque the M8s, which you can't even see right now, to 22 foot-pounds. There's no angles, no passes. It's just I kind of give them a little snug, and then I final torque 22, and it goes center, and then you just kind of alternate left, right, left outer, right outer, and then I just go over them one more time. I made a push for this today because I'm getting tired of covering this thing up with a trash bag. Now that the cylinders are covered, I'll throw the valley cover on there just to cover up the cam. No gasket yet. That's coming. So there she is. That was a big step today. So tomorrow, I'm really gonna just focus on buttoning everything up. I'll see if my push rods are gonna work. Kind of don't think they're gonna, but I'll try. I'm gonna try, and I gotta look into how that whole thing works. So we'll see. I can actually take an accurate measurement now with my push rod checker too. I did put the motor mounts on. I might do the water pump, a couple brackets. Might start making it look like a motor. I don't want to go crazy with it until it's in the car. It's just easier to move it around. I'll put the valley cover, gasket, bolts, knock sensors. Figure out what I'm doing for my coolant block offs, and we'll do all that tomorrow.